Weird and creepy disappearances are a lot more common than you'd think, and if you're familiar with the Missing 411 series made popular by David Paulides, this is something you already know. Our next case comes from Hong Kong, but rather than being a singular case revolving around a specific person, this true story is actually about a place responsible for ending the lives of people in unexplained ways, or even making them completely disappear. There's an urban legend about the northeastern peninsula of Sai Kung in Hong Kong. As with most urban legends, it varies slightly depending on who you ask. Some believe there is some kind of portal you can enter, or a barrier that can be crossed. Aliens or the spirit world are often mentioned. Others say there is simply a negative energy there, or bad feng shui. Regardless of the backstory, there is no doubt that many people have either gone missing or perished in this mysterious place, and continue to do so to this very day, even as recently as August 2022, the time of making this video. The Sai Kung Peninsula has remained untouched by urbanization and is mostly covered by country parks. As such, there's a huge network of hiking trails crisscrossing across the unspoilt countryside. There are, however, clear tracks and paths for everyone to follow, as well as guide stones and signs providing directions, and also special location coordinates in case of emergency. In September 2005, the South China Morning Post reported that 45-year-old off-duty constable Ting Liwa had gone missing while out hiking along the trails of Sai Kung. He had reportedly contacted emergency services an hour and a half after last being seen in a local grocery store. Constable Ting told the emergency services that he had lost his way and sounded extremely tired. They then lost contact with him. At least 100 officers and volunteers, as well as the missing constable's family, spent days searching for him. Members of the fire services and civil aid service were among the volunteers, and the government flying service even sent out a search helicopter with a thermal imaging detector to help find the missing constable. After 9 days of searching, the hunt was finally called off. Constable Ting was never seen again, and a body was never recovered. The following month, in October 2005, 22-year-old Yuan Kwok-young was taking part in a 4-day hiking course organised by the Hong Kong Award for Young People. Having been a keen Boy Scout for much of his youth, he had done a lot of hiking and was by no means an amateur. It was Sunday, October the 2nd, when he and 4 female companions were following the route set out by course instructors when he needed to stop for a rest. He told friends earlier that day that he had the flu and had taken some medicine for it, police reported. Ewan told his female companions to go on ahead and that he would catch them up. They reached the finish line without him later on that day, but Ewan never turned up. A search party was sent out to find him, involving the police, firefighters and a helicopter, searching late into the night and then again the following day. Around 100 people took part in a search on the Tuesday, 2 days after his disappearance. Given the fact that Officer Ting, who we previously discussed, had gone missing the month before, and was still missing, searchers were all the more desperate to locate the young hiker. They did finally find him, but sadly, he was no longer alive. In fact, investigators believe Ewan had been dead at least a day. They said he still had his personal belongings with him, and they didn't believe any foul play had been involved, nor did they find any suspicious circumstances. Ewan had simply just died, not far from where Officer Ting had gone missing only weeks before. Now listen, you may think this is just a coincidence, and that's fair. 2 cases aren't enough to call the place haunted, cursed, or paranormal. But the truth is, these cases are only 2 in a growing list. In January 2009, there was a case where a local bus driver, 48-year-old Wong Chak Lung, went hiking along the trails of Sai Kung on his own. He left home at around 6 AM on the 11th of January, off on a solo hike to Chung Sai Chau. The last time he was seen was when he left the bus at Pak Tam Au at around 8:50 AM. When he failed to return home, his family raised the alarm and alerted emergency services. Once more, a team of over 100 people searched for him for days, including fire services, police, helicopter and boats, but they found no traces of the hiker and nothing to explain his disappearance. Wangchak Lung was never found. The fact is, there have been many more cases over the years where Sai Kung's trails have claimed lives or hosted mysterious disappearances. The more we looked online, the more we found. Even as recently as August of 2022, the time of writing this script, the search continues for 61-year-old hiker Jiang Qingming, who was last seen on the 27th of August 2022. With such a history, it's a wonder how people still go out hiking along these mysterious trails on their own. And there is the interesting detail. All the people that have gone missing or perished in Sai Kung were alone at the time of their disappearance. In June of 2016, there was one very lucky man who went missing for 4 days and 3 nights and actually managed to return alive. His story, if true, is an absolutely incredible one. On June the 18th, 2016, 45-year-old mountaineer Zhang Shangpeng went hiking along Sai Kung's Maklahose Trail. He took a picture of the sky and posted it on his social media at around 10 AM. Later on, he reached an area known as Dawen Mountain and suddenly lost consciousness. He woke to find himself in a bush and quite confused. He took a call from his wife and told her he would be coming home immediately. It was now the evening and the moon was out. Looking around in the dim light, his surroundings looked like they had changed. Rather than being to the side of the path where he had blacked out, he was in a completely unfamiliar area. Panic set in, and he thought he better ring the emergency services for help, but he found his phone and belongings had disappeared. Despite recently taking a call, he had no recollection of where his phone and belongings had gone, or even how much time had passed. He stumbled around for a while in the dimness of the night, and after a time he found himself in what he described as a strange valley. Tiredness overcame the lost hiker, so he sat and rested for a while, and eventually fell asleep. In the morning he woke up abruptly, and quickly got up to look around. He found himself near a pool of water, with rocks around and in it. Zhang walked past the pool and carried on for a while, when he saw a mountaineer in the distance with his back to him. Realizing that this person would be his ticket home, Zhang excitedly walked over, but before he could even speak a word, the mountaineer disappeared right before his eyes. Understandably, this gave Zhang quite a fright, and he ran off to escape the strange place he found himself in. As he was running, he saw a tourist in the distance and shouted out to them. Again, as Zhang drew near, this person also vanished, leaving the lost hiker even more shaken than before. Zhang spent the rest of the day scurrying around like a mouse stuck in a maze, trying to find a way down from the mountain. As the sun was setting, he made his way back to the rocky pool where he had slept the night before. Bizarrely, these rocks and the surrounding waters now seemed to chatter and make strange noises, like television broadcasting sounds, or a downtown area, he said. Despite the weird surroundings, Zhang was overcome by tiredness and fell asleep. He woke up just before dawn the next morning. It was now day 3, and once more he started the search for a way home. As night was turning to day, he found himself in what he described as a huge cemetery, with stone tablets neatly arranged. This made absolutely no sense. The area was a country park with no developments, nothing nearby, and no access roads. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. It was impossible, he realized. Quickly turning around, he left immediately and walked for a long while until he reached the rocky pool once more. At this point, Zhang realized he hadn't had a drink or anything to eat for days, but strangely didn't feel hungry. With the weird noises coming from the rocks once more, he curled up on the floor and fell fast asleep. Day 4, he woke up to a sunny morning with a burning determination to find his way home. He decided instead of trying to navigate down the mountain, he would go up, following a mountain stream. As he went, he reported that the rocks in the stream also made strange noises, and that as he continued up the mountain, more figures of people appeared and disappeared around him. Instead of panicking, he just defiantly pushed on. Eventually, Zhang came to a reservoir and noted that the scene seemed to have changed significantly compared to where he had just come from. He then saw some tourists and cautiously made his way over to them, fearing they too might disappear. To his surprise and delight, they were real people. Overcome by emotion, he cried with happiness and relief. Borrowing a mobile phone, he called the police and his family to let them know he was safe, and then continued along the Maclehose Trail, the route he was following days before. After 4 days and 3 nights, he was formally rescued by a friend and a rescue team who met him on the trail. Following a short stay in hospital, he wrote his account in a 3,000-word social media post telling his bizarre story. Critics were quick to suggest he had probably suffered from heat stroke or exhaustion and had simply hallucinated all the creepy things he had experienced. But many people, especially those familiar with Sai Kung and its reputation, believe Zhang's account. Whether it's actually to do with aliens, the spirit world, or some kind of strange dimension barrier, it's difficult to say and hard to prove. But one thing is for certain, Sai Kung is a place where many people have either died in unexplained ways, for no apparent reason, or have just completely vanished forever, and continue to do so.